Alrighty guys, I'm gonna try not to talk too much, but I will explain my plan really quickly. It's super windy, so I'm sorry for the background noise. It's not ideal. But here is our new chassis that we're going to be modifying, shortening, and getting ready to go underneath that body and get a full 10-point 850 cert cage. I'm super freaking excited. So really quickly, we have to chop all these body mounts off, and we're gonna be chopping a bunch of material off the front and the back of the chassis. I'm going to chop the front basically as close to these steering components as I can, like I did on that one, to give us clearance between the front skirt. And then we're doing custom rear suspension, and I'm gonna have to chop the frame tail off basically as far forward as I can comfortably. The last one I chopped right here at this cross member. But we're chopping everything we need to out of here and getting it ready for our custom suspension and to bring the frame tails forward so that we can fit the body over it. So quick rundown on that. Let's just jump into it. As you saw, I pulled the fuel tank out and that was a pain in the butt. And this chassis is disgusting, but not a big deal. I'm pretty stinking excited, guys. That took a little bit longer than I expected for that last cut. Sweet. So I just got my first frame section chopped out, and the amount of garbage in this frame, that's like 1.5 inches tall. That is hilarious. There's just grass and dirt, and pretty sure this car was a flood car, the car that this chassis came out of. But that is hilarious. Like, a lot of junk just fell out. Yeah, so that is 12.5 inches cut out. Get the same on that side. Slide it forward, and then we will have the wheelbase of that chassis sitting over there. So I was really worried about getting the wheelbase absolutely perfect, you know. So this chassis is 107 inches long, this Jimmy chassis, and a Volkswagen Bug, a 1973 Super Beetle, which is shorter than the standard Beetle. The wheelbase is 94.5 inches, so I have to cut 12.5 inches out. I've been a little bit worried about that, trying to get it just right, but I realized, remembered, learned, that I am doing custom rear suspension again. Obviously, I can't run those leaf springs like I said in the last video. They'll stick out past the rear hatch. Like, though I'd have to cut the body. It's not gonna happen. And so I realized I'm gonna have plenty with how big that arch is right there. I'm gonna have plenty of room to move my axle forward or backward, however much I need to get it lined up with the wheel wells. So I need to shorten the chassis about 12.5 inches just to get it shortened, to get it close enough, and then I can hack the frame tails off, the horns off on the front like I already did, and then when I am welding in my new rear suspension, which you'll see in a video shortly, I will be able to adjust and get my rear axle sitting exactly where I want it, weld in my suspension, and then we've got the right wheelbase. So super exciting. I'm gonna have to C-notch the hoops above the axle anyway, because we're gonna be lowering it a lot like that chassis, and I want to have axle clearance for when it squats. But yeah, so quick little update. Now let's jump back into cutting the other side real quick. So these welds came out actually half okay, not great, but half decent. They burned in well. So this one came out okay. This one came out absolutely horribly. I don't know why. Like really gross. So I'm gonna grind that down and re-weld it. I'm actually pretty dang happy with that. So what I'm going to do is cut out a square right here on each side, cut out a square, and I'm going to clean out on the inside, which I should have done before I welded it, but it's fine. I'm going to clean out and weld a plate on the inside and then weld that square back in place. So I'm going to have a plate on the outer wall of each frame rail, and that'll be absolutely plenty, because this was welded not great with a 110 welder, and same on the other side. It didn't have any type of plating. It was just butt welded, and it survived a lot of abuse with almost no rear suspension. And also it didn't have anything tying it together aside from that butt weld, and it was fine. This, on the other hand, is going to get a triangulated 4-link with coilovers, so I'll actually have some suspension give. Obviously still gonna have stress on that, but it's going to be a bit better than just like straight no suspension going over bumps. And also I'm going to be putting an 850 cert cage in this car, or having one put in, I should say, and it's going to have back bars that tie into the chassis, so this is going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to grind that down real quick and start welding and plating and everything, and hopefully get that done tonight. Alrighty, so I just ground down my welds, smoothed them up a little bit, and I decided this is good enough to get it to the roll cage stage, and then I will come back and cut those plates out and weld the inside and weld it all up after the cage is on, because I have a lot more to do after I get it caged. I'm going to be plating these ends off. I'm going to be doing full rear suspension. Right now I got the wheelbase close enough. It should be about 94.5 inches like it should be. But even if it's off by a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, which it's not, but even if it's off by, you know, a 1/16 of an inch, I'll be able to make up that adjustment when I weld my new rear suspension in. So this is plenty strong right now. It's sitting on its own. And I can obviously jump on it. It's welded out. It's good. I'm not even remotely worried about this. Honestly, at this stage where it is how that chassis ran the entire time the car's been together. So this is good enough to get it to the stage where I can get the roll cage on it. And then after that, we'll take care of everything else. I borrowed a bigger 220 welder. I still need to set it up and everything. You can hear mine on in the background. This little 110 just isn't quite cutting it. And so it gets enough done. Like it just did that okay, but I really do need the 220 set up. So this will get me to the point where I can back the chassis in over there because I've got 220 plugs over there. And be able to weld it out with the 220 later. But we're going to really quickly chop off the back half of the frame. We're just going to chop it right here with the angle grinder on each side, cut this little spare tire holder bar, and drop the whole hitch assembly off. And we're going to also chop the leaf springs and get the leaf spring will drop right here, is going to touch on the bottom of the frame, and it's going to drop the whole rear end a bunch. And that is what I did when I was originally putting that body on that chassis. I just rolled it around with the leaf springs resting on the frame rails until I was in a spot where I was able to do the leaf springs on that, which the 4-link on this, if that makes any sense. So we're going to do that so that we can drop the whole thing down, and then hopefully tomorrow after work, we will get this chassis kind of out of the way and get this thing rolled under the bug, get it set down, and start getting prepped for body mounts. So pretty stinking exciting. That's my progress for today. And we're getting stuff done, boys. Hopefully we'll be ready for LS Fest West. Let's try. That was heavy. Well, boys, we just ran into our first major issue with the 4-wheel drive swap in the bug. So I've been transferring wheels and tires over. We got our slicks and skinnies on this chassis now so we can roll it around, because that one had a donut and stuff on it. So when I was going to put those on, I found out that that wheel was hitting the control arm, and I was like, that's weird. It's just a different offset, something's weird, funky. And then I got the measuring tape out, and I realized it's a huge problem. The track width on the 4-wheel drive chassis is way wider than that. Like, I'm talking 2 to 3 inches on either side wider than that chassis. I'll throw a picture up real quick of the gap between this tire and the frame rail on that chassis. And this is what we have on this chassis. So I mean, it's like a solid 2.5 or 3 inches on either side of room that we simply did not have because that chassis was already right on the bitter edge. So I'm not sure how we're going to tackle this yet. I want to roll this chassis out real quick into the driveway, and then I'm going to scoot this chassis over there, drop it under, and kind of start to set the body on and just see how bad it is. I think right now, as of right now, I think the only real option is going to be custom wheels. If I can get wheels that have a basically flat offset with the mating surface out to the edge of the rim, no dish like this one has at all, and it'll push the entire wheel in. Same thing on the back. If I can get some that push it in a bit, then we might be able to make this work. For the rears, I'm going to be welding on custom suspension mounts anyway, so I was thinking about taking that rear axle and throwing it on here, but the main issue is I have no idea the gear ratios in this front diff, or in that rear diff, or in that rear diff. So I can't just swap a 2-wheel drive axle on because I have no idea if the gear ratio will be the same. So I have to maybe pull them apart and try and figure out how to identify the gear ratio, but that's kind of a lot of wasted time. So yeah, super fun. Alrighty, boys. So here's a rough fit up. Oh, it sucks. Obviously, the axles aren't centered in the wheel wells, which we're gonna center the fronts. You can see it's touching the fender in the back. We're gonna center the fronts and then do custom rear suspension so we can center the rear after the. We just need the front center. We don't care about that, but. Oh, it is horrible. Horrible offset on the fronts also. I don't really know what to do. I mean, it's, you know, a palm width. Front is a really 1.5 inches. So I'm going to look into it and see if we can. I can't really afford custom wheels. I just simply can't. So I'm not 100% sure on what I'm going to do yet, but I'll probably end up getting, figuring out some custom wheels to try and get the mating surface as far out to the edge as possible. So it's basically just a flat face, and that should suck the entire wheel towards the frame enough to make it tuck. I might have to roll the fenders quite a bit, which I've been okay with from the get-go, but I'm definitely not okay with that much overhang. So we'll see what we're gonna do. Super freaking fun, guys. Oh, it's frustrating, but yep, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on that. Alrighty, guys, sorry for the heater noise in the background. It's cold in here, so I got my heater going. But we officially have the body alignment mounted. Very ugly welds. They're just spot welded in place, and we got that one welded up, that one, and then that one, and all it is just a shelf welded to the frame, and then a shelf welded and gusseted to the body that sits on top of that to align it. So now it will be aligned this way and that way, because the bolt only goes in and it's very tight. It's actually threaded through the metal. So that is extremely temporary. That is literally just alignment body mounts, okay? Before I get torn up in the comments, that's for alignment only. I did that so that we can raise and lower the body off the chassis anytime now, and when we drop it back on, we just have to line up those 2, 4, 6, 8 bolt holes, and then the body will sit in the same spot every single time, so that the guy that I'm gonna have build my cage can mock stuff all up, pull the body off, put it back down, whatever, and then when he gets ready to do the final weld out, he can just pull the body off and weld around and not have to worry about trying to weld the tops of the bars with the roof in the way, and you can get nice tight fitment. So again, very temporary alignment body mounts. We're going to be doing much better body mounting when the cage is in. We're going to actually mount the body to the frame and the cage and tie it all together. It's going to be awesome. So I just wanted to give you guys that update, and I think that is going to end today's video. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of work. As you can see, we've got the car on the frame, but we've got some ideas on how to work out the width difference with the axles, but I'm still confident we're gonna get it done before LS Fest West 2023. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more on this project, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to stay hungry, stay humble, stay motivated. Bye.